Coming up tonight, busted. Drug Enforcement Unit officers making a major cocaine bust on marijuana. Plus, let the games begin. The Bahamas Games officially opened last night in grand style, and the Prime Minister making a major announcement about the future of the games. Our Sasha Lightborn has the highlights, plus celebrating all things Bahamians. Gombe Summer Festival is back in Grand Bahama. Find out where and when you can attend. All of this and more as our news weekend starts now. Welcome to our news, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Berthany McDermott. Law enforcement officers making yet another major drug bust overnight, this time in marijuana, where a large amount of cocaine was found on an aircraft. Details in this incident were sketchy, but police did say those on board were able to escape, and police spent much of the day searching for the suspects. Several major cocaine seizures have been reported this year. Back in May, 21 Chinese nationals were arrested after law enforcement officers discovered 68 kilos of cocaine, worth over $1 million, on a cargo vessel that was moored at the Nassau container port. And just last month, 3 Mexicans and 1 Bahamian were arrested in connection with a $9 million drug bust in Long Island. A tip led officers to search a single-engine Cessna aircraft where they discovered 15 large croco sacks filled with cocaine. As it relates to this weekend's drug bust, we'll have much more details in tomorrow's newscast. The drugs and marijuana were not the only illegal substances found this weekend. Officers also took nearly $6,000 worth of marijuana off the streets in 2 separate incidents on Saturday. In the first incident, around noon, Operation Ceasefire officers searched an abandoned wooden structure in the area of Kennedy Subdivision, where they discovered packets of marijuana. The drugs weighed 3 pounds, 2 ounces, with an estimated street value of $3,200. 8 hours later, officers searched bushes off Kelly Lane in Fox Hill, where they discovered a marijuana stash. The drugs weigh 2 pounds, 7 ounces, and are worth $2,700. No one has been arrested in connection with this find. A pre-dawn car ride ended with an alleged sexual assault, and now investigators need your help finding the suspects. Police say on Saturday, a 25-year-old Ecuadorian woman was at a West Bay Street hotel when she got a ride from a stranger around 4 a.m. Police say the suspect drove to the area of Hillcrest Close, where they pulled out a knife, robbed the victim of cash, and sexually assaulted her. The victim was able to escape the terrifying attack and get help. More and more women are coming to the Domestic Violence Unit of the Royal Bahamas Police Force each day. That's according to Inspector Kendra Wallace-Wims, who says she's been shocked by the number of protection orders. The RBPF's new Domestic Violence Unit is a collaboration with the Ministry of Social Services, the Ministry of Health, the Bahamas Crisis Center, and local NGOs. Wallace-Wims says now that they're operating as one instead of separate units, they can be much more effective.
So the family needs social services. A social worker is attached to this unit right there in door number 1. You have the crisis center. If they need the crisis center in terms of counseling, the crisis center is right there in the building. And watch this, which is so beautiful. The Ministry of Health. We actually have a quarters for the nurse in the building.
Bahamas Crisis Center Administrator Cleopatra Christie also weighing in on the issue.
All I can tell you is that our numbers are increasing daily. And it is, and with this new connection with the police that the inspector spoke about today, we certainly have had an uptick in numbers. So as soon as a person makes a complaint to the police station, they refer them to the crisis center where we deal with the counseling side of it. But yes, the numbers are growing daily.
In other news, more than 500,000 Haitian nationals are looking to get into the United States of America the right way through a sponsorship residency program. The Defense Force Commodore revealing the figures as he explained a drop in interceptions.
Some 580,000 applications have been made from Haiti to the United States.
The applications are through a sponsor residency program from the U.S. government. King gave this update as he explained the reason behind a decrease in migrant apprehensions.
The United States has offered it's a U.S. law for sponsorship residency in the United States, and Haitian nationals, like along with the Venezuelans, the Cubans, and the Nicaraguans, 30,000 per month are being considered, but they have to apply for that sponsorship residency from their homeland.
King also says if anyone from those countries attempt to enter illegally, they will no longer be able to enter the U.S. through that program. King says they've also seen Haitian migrants moving towards Mexico.
We've also seen a movement of Haitian migrants through countries with relaxed visa restrictions, travel restrictions on the Haitians themselves, to Mexico, where they're making applications for asylum claims. And there's some 19,000 up to yesterday who would have made claims for asylum while in Mexico.
As for Cuba, King says over 380,000 applications were made. He explains they've seen a drop in vessels coming through Bahamian waters.
We have seen a significant decline in the number of rafters, but not the numbers on board. The numbers on board has increased almost fivefold. They would use the quayside banks as a staging area, either to be picked up by Americans who are part of that ring, or they would attempt to make it from the quayside banks to the United States.
King also revealing some 643 Cubans were returned to the Bahamas who were detained in the area of Quayside Bank.
From October 2020 to June 30th this year, they would have dealt with some 2,500 Cuban nationals. And they estimate that in excess of some 28,000 Cubans may have made it to their shores.
The North Andros homecoming has been postponed following last week's fire at Bahamas Power and Light. Area Member of Parliament Leonardo Lightburn confirming as much. He says the team on the ground is working to assist residents there.
We had postponed the homecoming event. It's now scheduled for the 27th July to the 29th, and we look forward to our sailing also to take place during this time. We sometimes find opportunities like these to kind of move forward in regards of compensation, but we, the administrator and the team on the ground is doing their best, and they've provided some ice for few residents. But our healthcare facility is up and running. Our elderlies are taken well care of, and my concern and my main issue is now to see that the power is being restored fully.
BPL issued a statement this morning advising customers in North Andros that there would be a controlled shutdown of supply on Sunday from 9 a.m. to noon. They added the shutdown facilitated the tie-in of the second genset as well as additional testing to increase BPL's generating capacity in North Andros. Meantime, Lightburn also giving an update regarding water issues there. On Thursday, we heard that an $88,000 generator was secured to stabilize water distribution, which was also damaged by the fire.
I know we would have got some calls in terms of the water situation. The water supplies is sustained. There is no water loss. Personally, we've been having shortfalls here and there on the weekends for capacity persons once they get on the island. That's become the norm. But as far as water loss, that has not been something that I'm aware of.
Still to come on our news weekend, pivotal moments in Bahamian history. Find out how Grand Bahamians are commemorating the road to 50 through lasting memories. And the owner behind a popular Bahamian t-shirt reveals what inspires her designs and explains how she's taking 242 to the world. Find out more when our news weekend returns. You're watching Our News Weekend. Welcome back. This year's Independence celebrations promises to be one you'll never forget, and the organizers of the show says it will be a mind-blowing experience. Our Joshua Williams has the details.
A grand show is in store for the country's ecumenical service and tattoo. Held on Clifford Park every year, the show's producer Fred Ferguson says this year will be different.
The energy picks up all the way through. It goes into the tattoo at 5:30 until 7:30. A lot of persons are anxious about the tattoo, and it leads all the way through. Even the ecumenical service this year is different than it is traditionally. They are all part of the cultural presentation, and the Christian Council has gone overboard with us to make that a very exciting yet spiritual presentation.
While local artists will be featured, surprise guests will also make an appearance.
The cultural presentation, which includes young singers, young performers, stories told about our islands, history about our islands. Don't forget now, this is 50 years. So there's a lot of stuff that we've accomplished over the last 50 years that we're going to try to put into song and prose. We have two very special surprise guests that were very popular in the Bahamas over the past 50 years. We can't tell you who they are now. Just watch or be there, and you're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
Every year as the flag is hoisted on the park, the police band plays a traditional song. Ferguson says this time around, everyone will take part in the ceremony.
Normally, we would have the police band that plays the song Praise by themselves when the flag is going up. This year, we're going to have them joined with a 100-voice choir with the string that I told you about earlier. So it's going to be a massive sound that we feel across the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Lastly, when the national anthem is being played this year with the police band, we're inviting the entire Bahamas, those who are watching this interview, those who will be watching on that day, to stand wherever they are. Jump out of your cars, and you're going to sing the national anthem with the police band this year so we can all feel that depth of patriotism.
Family Islanders will also be involved.
We've sent camera persons around the country to videotape. What they have done now for me is they have simulated the flag raisings on all of the islands, because we're not able to do the camera on every island at that time, but on our big screen here, each of those islands, the flag raising of each of those islands will be displayed on our big screens.
Showtime at the park kicks off at 5 p.m. Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Joshua Williams.
The City of Freeport Council unveiled their Road to Independence exhibit at the C.A. Smith Building. The exhibit displays pivotal moments in Bahamian history over the past 50 years. Chief Counselor for the City of Freeport Council, Frejat Gibson.
What we decided, our contribution as the City of Freeport Council, the Road to Independence exhibit. And so what we did is we did months of research with the Department of Archives on what we should display on how we got to independence in 1973. And so our journey took us back to 1963 with the signing of our first written constitution that came into effect January 7th, 1964, with internal self-government.
Freeport Administrator Kenwood Cartwright encourages residents to view the historical pieces, while Donald Glass, chairman of the Freeport Hotel Licensing Board, calls the exhibit fantastic and says it brought back fond memories.
The councillors wanted to do something different for this road to 50. They didn't want to just say where we are now. They wanted to speak a little to how we got here, who were the persons that were behind it, those that helped to frame the Constitution when the money changed from the pound to the dollar.
I remember as a senior in high school, I had to be the one of those converting from pound sterling to dollars, and the principal was telling us, hurry up, right? Because we were trying to do the calculation, so it brought back some memories. And then, of course, Black Tuesday. I remember that very distinctly.
Earlier this week, we told you that I, as a Bahamian boy, despite being around for a few years now, launched their first independence line. Part of that line features a particular shirt dubbed 242 to the world. I, as a Bahamian boy owner, Cache Noel, says it's the hot seller and speaks to the inspiration behind that particular design and why it's so important.
As you can see, it's the world, which is like a little bit strange because we're the Bahamas, but we all say 242 to the world, which means we carrying our culture, our Bahamianism, our history to the world and showing everybody what Bahamians are and who we are. So essentially, this is filled with different Bahamian words that speak to different places in the world and speaks to the Bahamians that live and reside in these places and take 242 to the world every single day.
And Noel spoke to us about how the reception has been from Bahamians living across the world.
Really good. I mean, a a lot of people are in, foreign, and they buy because they want to be a part of this collection, and then they want Bahamian things. I appreciate people who are buying internationally so much. The price that I give is $30, which is a little bit high, but people are willing to buy it, and the more you buy in one order, the more the $30 sort of dwindles down. So really appreciative of people that are buying. There are a lot of people that are getting the collection in foreign.
When our news weekend comes back from the break, game on. We've got highlights from the opening of the Bahamas Games as athletes gear up for a week of stiff competition. And how important is physiotherapy for swimmers? We'll tell you what the recovery process is like when our news weekend returns.
Whether you're battling a chronic condition or offsetting a new injury, Doctors Hospital's comprehensive rehab services offer the help you need now. 3 advanced facilities at Collins Avenue, Carmichael Road, and Cable Beach means your personalized plan for care is just a visit away. From physiotherapy to occupational therapy and speech and language pathology, our team approach is all about rebuilding together. For a full list of services, visit doctorshosp.com/rehabilitation. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
This is our news weekend. Welcome back. The 6th edition of the Bahamas Games was officially opened by the Prime Minister at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium last evening. The evening was filled with culture and a march past was attended by many. Our Sasha Lightbourne was there. She filed this report.
And that's how the show began, with the Bahamas All-Star Band putting on a performance for the ages. There was also a march past by the athletes from each participating island. Prime Minister Philip Davis officially opened the Games, which had a 20-year hiatus. He told those gatherers that he has already sought cabinet approval to rename the Games the Peter Bethel Bahamas Games. We asked the Prime Minister about the Games returning after such a long time.
Sports is one of the most significant unifying factors for any country. We all rally around the achievements of our people, the determination, the work they put in to be able to compete, and to see the results of those work. It's something that we all marvel at, and it is an example of ensuring that we continue to be together as one.
3 of the Golden Girls were also on hand for the opening: Pauline Davis-Thompson, Chandra Stirrup, and Debbie Ferguson-McKenzie. Ferguson-McKenzie, a former participant, says she's proud to see the Games return.
I've always encouraged where it comes to sport, it brings the country together, uniting the islands and the people. And everybody so far is very excited, for the Games. And so I think it's going to be a great month of celebration.
Now, performing during the cultural segment was popular artist Bishop Lawrence Roll, otherwise known as the Singing Bishop. He spoke to us prior to his performance, noting that Bahamians have so much to be grateful for.
The Bahamas is a rich, inherited place where we need to protect. And some of the younger people don't remember a whole lot of stuff, but we can take it from Hurricane Dorian. My God, so much people was destroyed and their belongings that they worked so hard for was destroyed. Coming along, we had the COVID-19. So God has really been good to us. And now that this country is opened up and we are able to celebrate our 50th year, our forefathers has fought for this country. And therefore the next generation, so Lyndon Penland said, if it waits fighting for, then you just gotta do it.
Now the Games will continue through the Independence holiday up to July 15th. Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
Thanks for that, Sasha. Ever wondered about the recovery process for a swimmer? We caught up with a physiotherapist who shared the answer. Sasha Lightbourne has that story.
Our country's swimming nationals was held a few weeks ago, and swimmers were in and out of the pool for 4 straight days. In just another few days, some of those same swimmers will participate in the Bahamas Games. But what's most important during that preparation and at a meet is physiotherapy. Owner of Your Neighborhood Physio, Elvian Pinder, explains.
Physical therapy is very important because, especially for swimming, this pool is so long, and some people are doing multiple laps, and they're doing heats, they're doing finals. So you have to make sure that they are properly resting their muscles, properly stretching. So having a physiotherapist actually on site is a great benefit to their team. And you also lead them in their stretches, making sure that they know what to do when you're not around, so that reduces the amount of injuries we may see.
She says hydration is also key.
We want to make sure the kids are hydrated, so we remind them every time before the race, after the race, drink your water. Stretches, proper warm-up, proper cool down, and then we massage, make sure they get all that lactic acid that's built up in their muscles out so that they can perform well at their next race.
And swimming in a climate like ours is challenging as well, especially during a meet.
We have to make sure that we are telling them and being on them to hydrate, because kids just want to be kids. They want to play around until, they can't play around anymore because they're dehydrated and the line is so thin. So we have to make sure that they are on top of things and we are monitoring them appropriately.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Sasha Lightborn.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, it's back. Gombe Summer Festival makes its long-awaited return to Grand Bahama. Find out what tourism officials have to say. That's coming up when Our News Weekend returns.
March on, Bahama.
Welcome back to Our News Weekend. The country is set to celebrate 50 years of independence tomorrow, but will the weather cooperate for the grand celebrations? Here's the forecast. The Gombe Summer Festival is back in Grand Bahama. Every Thursday for the month of July, starting at 6 p.m., the festival will be held in Grand Bahama on Tano Beach, according to tourism officials. Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, thanking the tourism team for their commitment to promoting Bahamian culture, while the general manager of the Ministry of Tourism in Grand Bahama says the event is a signature tourism event.
Gombe Summer Festival is significant to Bahamian history because the festival was launched 1 year after independence, providing a platform for Bahamian heritage and culture enjoyed by residents and visitors to our shores for decades.
It's really important for us to remember that these festivals mean so much for the various communities on the island, very much an economic impact. And also from the tourism side, it means a lot for our visitors to be able to come to the Grand Bahama Island and be able to partake in these various cultural festivals. It represents an experience for them, especially when they are able to participate in many of the various activities that happen at these festivals.
There are scores of vendors selling Bahamian dishes and Bahamian artists scheduled to perform. Several corporate companies are also on board.
We are proud sponsors as we know the importance of this event to the community, to boosting the culture and also the circular economy. We remain committed to powering all of the summer events and supporting these events as they work to revitalize the community and the island of Grand Bahama.
Last year, Gombe Summer Festival, we had our entry into Grand Bahama with the Kavala Medical Center in 8 Mile Rock. This year, we did not want to miss out as we are entering into the Freeport community at our Freeport Medical Center that just opened this past Friday. We are elated at Doctors Hospital to be a community leader, to be a part of all of the festivities, to be a part of our health and wellness as we celebrate 50 years in the Bahamas.
Thank you for joining us for our news weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Berthany McDermott. Have a wonderful Independence, Bahamas.